Hello and welcome. My name is Era and today I'm watching the music video for Tell Me by Wonder Girls, which is almost 18 years old and that's crazy. Now I have obviously, as I feel like everyone who is in the K-pop space, I have heard the song before. I've absolutely seen clips of the music video. I've never actually sat down and watched the music video. My interest in Wonder Girls was just never present, and by preparing for this reaction, the minimal bit of preparing I usually do, I realized I don't actually know anything about Wonder Girls. In my head, they are in the same category as MVs I, as an older K-pop girl group of which I have heard songs, because they use them in like the survival shows and in like general like K-pop playlists of iconic songs and that stuff. I don't know anything about the group. I know that members went on to be soloists, but if you ask me who, I have no idea. I'm just not that far into old K-pop. So this is just a little throwback, just trying something, because I've only reacted to music videos from this year up to now, and I'm curious to see how much it has actually changed. And Tell Me seemed like a good place to start. And I think it says a lot about how old this is that the highest quality we have is 480, which honestly doesn't change anything for me because it's the highest quality I can watch in while recording, and we don't have subtitles. So that's all the preamble I have, and I think we should just get into it and see how much I have actually to say. That's a cute start. It's so old. A little bit of cross promotion. Okay, logically, I've seen clips from this, but with the context of reactions and how I usually do my reactions, this is so interesting because I was talking about like the white background recently in, what was it? In both my girl set Little Miss reaction and in the Yena feat Hatsune Miku Star reaction, because they both used a white set, and I commented a bit on that. They did something really smart by having these props because it brings in color while still giving them this vast space, and it doesn't overpower the members. The members are mostly dressed darkly, but even the color they have is much brighter than what's in the background. They did a great job on the color choice on this. Oh! See, I think the dancing set is the only thing I've actually seen, so this is really surprising. When the transformation started, I wanted to say Magical Girl, and then it turned to the Wonder Woman, and I was like, is Wonder Woman a Magical Girl? I feel like I've seen that debate before. I'm not sure what the verdict was. Regardless, this is not the type of approach I would have thought they take just from hearing the song. I don't know what it's about. That's one thing, but then also the school concept doesn't I feel like it's almost giving like we tried Magical Girl, but we didn't want to do Magical Girls who went with Wonder Woman. I don't know what the approach actually is, but like Magical Girl makes kind of sense, I guess, but turning it that way is a choice. I think this is especially confusing to me coming from now because of Eyelid's existence. I don't know, that's interesting. The colored backgrounds are nice. I'm also trying to like see if I recognize anyone, and I'm not great with faces. So this is so off topic. I'm pretty good at recognizing German voice actors, a good bunch of them, because we don't really have that many. But it's usually more like I can tell that this voice is the voice of that character instead of this is the voice of this voice actor. Faces are much harder. I keep seeing actors, I'm like, I know these people. And then I look up and they are nothing I've watched. So that also happens. Regardless, it's been 18 years, so it's unlikely that I actually recognize anyone, even though I might know these people. And what I find so interesting right now, we can see it on this frame, the lines. I don't know what the lines mean. I know that they indicate something about like the technology used for filming, but I don't actually know what it was. I just remember there was something about the lines. It looks so old. Anyway, like, genuine question, are we already in the era of digital recordings, or are they still using film? Like physical film rolls? I don't know. I'm not trying to date myself. I just generally don't know. Something that I also find really interesting is that because of how this was recorded, because it's so old, the colors aren't as saturated as I would have expected from this, just like from the thumbnail, from the dancing scene stuff. Because these days music videos are either already designed to not be very saturated or they are desaturated in post. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually saturated this more in post, if that was possible at the time. But even without, it's interesting how washed out the colors are while also still being pretty saturated. Like, these aren't bad colors we're seeing, it's just very particular tones. I'm also trying to understand the story. I think the editing is really cute. Of course, we're almost 20 years later, editing has changed so much, but especially coming from pretty fast-paced music videos in the past few months to this, it's incredibly interesting because I really hate it when we have a lot of fast cuts throughout the entire music video. In some sections, it's okay. Like, as an example, when they like do a lot of fast cuts at the end of a music video, that usually works out pretty well. If they do it throughout the entire music video, it's mostly bad. It's mostly bad because you can't see anything. Here I can see everything great. Like, my brain has time to process what I'm seeing, and that's really good because that's absolutely something that's getting lost right now. So seeing that at least wasn't always like that is kind of calming, especially with the resurgence cycle that has presented itself in K-pop. Can I phrase it like that? You know what I mean? When like stuff from previous gens comes back in newer gens. I want this editing back. This editing's good. What is happening? What? I'm sorry, what just happened? Who sat in the meeting room and was like, let's do this, it's funny. It's not. I mean, I guess I don't know, it's with this older stuff, it's always like, is it funny or was it the humor back then? No and yes. So I'm just gonna move on. That's what I'm doing. Maybe I should look up the lyrics. It's so simple. We've had what? We've had four sets. I'm not counting the beginning intro scene. We've had 4 sets. This is a horrible frame to pause on, I just realized. We've had 4 sets. I'm guessing we might get one more. We had the white background, we had the school bus, we had the school, and we had the colored backgrounds. The colored backgrounds are really nice. I'm guessing those are the representative colors of the members, if they existed back then. I always like that when they do that, but they have to do it like in an elegant way. You know, you can't just, I'm definitely not thinking of a specific group, you can't just dress them in their representative colors. If you do that, it has to be done with care. And if you don't do that, there are a bajillion other ways that you can add their representative colors to their presentation outside of the outfit. Also, the styling is so interesting. I don't know if I want it back or if I want them to leave it in the past. I can't decide right now. There's a lot of layering happening, but I'm also like, does it look good? I don't know. I can't really tell. I think with music specifically, you are allowed to do weird stuff with the outfits, but this is somehow too weird and not weird enough. So I don't know what to think of it. Yes, I forgot there's a dance break. It's fascinating to see what a dance break was back then. Like, the trend these days is that the dance break is at the very end of the song. Like, do you have the last chorus and then you get a dance break? We still have like a part of the song left. This is like the usual placement for a dance break, so that makes sense. On one hand, that's interesting. On the other hand, it's also just these paused frames look horrible because this video was not meant to be played on a screen like this. Forget counting individual pixels. We can count the individual lines. I think I've also never like listened as closely as I'm doing right now, because before listening to music was just like listening to music. Now I'm doing a little bit more of an analysis with it, with my non-existent music knowledge. I think even if the song would come out today, I would still like it the same. Though we do have to acknowledge, I rarely listen to the entire song, so I'm not as familiar with it as I am like with just the chorus. This is really interesting. Also, I'm actually fascinated by the colors of the props in the background, because those aren't just things you have lying around, right? It's not like you go to a music video set and you're like, we need a red couch, and you get a red couch. These things were custom made, and the colors are a choice. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. The colors are really nice because they aren't massively bright, and they also aren't really clean. There's a lot of gray mixed in. That could, on one hand, be just how the video survived, and it could also be that they actually did like dirtier colors on purpose. And what I mean by dirtier is mostly desaturated, that it's a little bit more grayish than it could be. Let's continue. The heels make me so nervous. I'm trying to look at this with understanding. I do not understand the school plot. I'm also like wondering what else they could have done. And I know this was like, was this really early in their career? I think so. I don't know actually. It might have been. Was it their debut? I don't know. On one hand, I'm really interested to know how they got to this idea, because it's a choice to go with these very colorful sets that are clearly more laid out for performance and dancing, and then also having the school plot where things keep happening and not Wonder Woman has to save them. So I also find it fascinating that they started with the worst possible thing, which was the child and the grandmother getting hit by the bus, as the first thing instead of like ramping it up. That's also a choice. I'm trying to get in the head of the creative directors, and I don't think that's possible. There's too much physical space between me and them, and too much time has passed between them and me. So I don't think I can actually relate. Anyway, let's finish this. Oh! That's nice. I'm gonna post scene. Just a little bit, I'm guessing. Wonder Girls. Oh, Wonder Woman, Wonder Girls. Is that where the name comes from? Wait. Uh-oh. I did not read the subtext at all until now. Sometimes you just have to see things written out to actually understand them. Anyway, we have a nice frame here that I can pause on, because I don't think we get a group logo. No. I usually pause on the group logos to talk, but because we don't have one here, I just stay here. Something I didn't mention until now because I wanted to see how consistent it is how they shot certain scenes. And even though this is really old, we had a lot of pretty interesting camera cuts and a lot of very interesting framings in the music video itself, how they film things, how much they showed, because these days we get a lot, especially when they focus on the center member. During the dance scenes, we often get really close-ups. We get really close-ups of them where we only see the member in the center. Here we also see both members on the sides a little bit, which is not something they do these days. So that's a really interesting thing. We also got a lot of like side shots, just like a few camera angles from the sides during the dancing parts that we also don't really get these days. And there was a lot more dancing parts than is usual in music videos these days. For 2008, this is very interesting. Looking from today, I'm not sure it holds up, to be honest. I think just if I apply today's standards to this, which I obviously cannot fully do because it is a very old music video at this point, there's also not a lot of cohesion in a way. These days we often have a good concept or they do too much. I feel like they could have done a little bit more, especially in the color direction, because again, the school scene is pretty desaturated overall and they might have desaturated it further in post. And even though it makes some colors look really interesting, I think they could have leaned more into the wonder aspect instead of the girls aspect. I understand what they went for, just looking from today, it's not funny to me. I also don't think if they would do this today, they would do the same thing. That's a given, but I do think it should be said that they probably wouldn't approach it like this. I like the concept, but it also feels like two different music videos that I just kind of glued together. But this is really interesting to look back on. And I didn't expect I would have that much to say, but my recording is almost at 30 minutes. So apparently I did. I will probably like go back and look a little bit around and decide on some more older music videos to react to. Because I haven't really seen anything before 2013. And I think there could be some really interesting things back in the day to talk about. Especially compared to today, because again, I've mostly just done reactions to new releases over the past months. And now that I kind of know how I want to make reactions and how I can make reactions well, I think it could be really interesting to go back here and there a little bit and look at some older music videos, especially from groups that I know nothing about. So on that note, if there's any music video that's pretty old that you would like to see me react to, you could leave me a comment. I can consider it. I can at least say that. Besides that, I do more reactions, mostly to newer stuff, but I might throw some older stuff in here and there as well. And I think that's just where I'm going to leave it for now. So, thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, drink tea, and with this, I release in the depths of the universe once again. See ya!